All right, I show that it's 4:30 PM, so we're going to call to order the City of Bella Vista Board of Zoning Adjustment. If you call the roll, please.
Ellis.
Here.
Farner.
Here.
Wesson. Here. Sudbury.
Here.
Portillo.
Here.
Dool. Here. Lloyd.
Here.
All right, we do have a quorum. First on our agenda is our meeting minutes from August the 12th.
I make a motion to be approved as submitted.
We got a motion from Farner.
Second.
Got a second from Portillo. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting minutes are approved. We have nothing under unfinished business. And first up, we have a public hearing for zoning variance 2024-55966, a variance request regarding R1 lot side setbacks along with the septic separation. Planner Hyatt.
Thank you. This property is located in the northeast area of Bella Vista city limits and is lot 37, block 3 of the Bedford subdivision. Code section 109753C requires a minimum side setback of 7.5 feet parallel to the side property lines. Section 1091664A2 requires that accessory buildings of a non-residential non-residential nature on the same lot as the primary residence conform to the setbacks for the district in which it is located. Section 1091861C1 requires 10 feet of separation between all accessory buildings with permanent foundations and existing or proposed septic systems and leach fields. The applicant is requesting a variance from the side setback requirements of an R1 lot, as well as the separation requirements between an accessory structure and a septic leach field for an existing non-residential accessory structure. The applicant had begun building the accessory structure without a permit and was notified on August 5th of a stop work order when the city discovered the work had gone on. The applicant then reached out to the city for permitting. Once receiving the plans, it was discovered that the structure was located at the side property line within the easement, as well as right next to the last leach line of the septic field. The non-residential accessory structure is intended to be used as a workshop and gym and is 27.5 feet by 15 feet, sitting on a 30 by 30 concrete slab. Cranfield Drive is a dead-end cul-de-sac labeled as a residential street per the master street plan and is within a low-density residential area. Per the featured land use map, the area is low-density residential located near a trailside stop. Staff also reached out to ADH as well as septic professional for further guidance. The responses are included in your packet. Due to the background of the request, staff finds that with the current circumstances of the subject property, they're a direct result of the applicant's actions, thus a required variance finding is not met. Staff did publish a legal ad notifying the public of this hearing in the weekly Vista on September 25th and posted a public hearing sign on the property. Due to additional items we received, or a request on Friday with the ACC, staff is recommending that we consider tabling this request and have the applicant reach out to the ACC to sort out their needs. Thank you.
Any questions for staff?
My understanding is to be tabled.
Speak into the microphone.
Is my understanding it's going to be tabled?
No, that's not correct at all. We have to have information from the applicant, then hold a public hearing, and then we can discuss it as a commission, or as a board. But
Okay.
staff is staff it to be tabled, but right now we haven't taken any action yet. Any other questions for staff? Yes, sir.
So this is on the property line, right? So have we gotten any feedback from the fire department about having it structure being fire rated on that side?
No, we didn't have any comments on that. I can reach back out with the other, but currently we don't have it.
It's been a while since I've dealt with the fire code, but when I have, like anything within 5 feet of a property line's got to be a fire rated wall, and that doesn't appear to be so far. So,
Staff will note too, just for the record, we do not have a survey showing exactly where this is. We don't have a licensed survey showing us the footprint of this. We were estimating from the applicant of where it is.
Yeah.
You'll even notice on the plot plan, it even shows kind of a small encroachment on the northern property line in that common property.
and they don't own the adjacent lot?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Now, if the applicant's present, could you come up and give us your name and address and who you represent? And you can expound on the staff report if you'd like.
My name is Rick Ritter. I live at 89 Cranfield
You can expound on the staff report if you would like. If not, we can ask you some questions. This is your opportunity to address the board with any comments that you have concerning your request.
Well, I appreciate your time and consideration. I'm just going to read my letter to you to make sure that we all read it. I am writing this hardship letter to give the Planning Commission reason to consider a variance release for my specific workshop design and placement. The placement and size of this workshop was predetermined by factors that took place a decade ago. In 2014, I began making a flat spot to put an above-ground pool in our backyard. In doing so, I created a secondary flat spot next to it for a playground. In 2018, I built a cinder block wall behind the playground in order to give the area more safe space to play on with a future workshop in mind. Since my kids no longer use the playground, it was time to remove it and transform the space into a workshop exercise room. I began by building another cinder block wall fence and a 30 by 30 slab in 2023. In July of 2024, I began building my 27.5 by 15 foot workshop exercise room on the slab and part of the wall fence. On August 5th, I received a legal notice from the Bella Vista Building Division to stop work. I called Fred Huddleston and was informed that I need to apply for a permit in order to build my workshop. I stopped all construction and immediately applied for a permit that day. As I read this, I guess I didn't address that I am the one responsible for it all, so, and I'm building it myself. I'm a DIY pro, but since applying for a permit, I have learned that the Bella Vista Code of Ordinances would like my workshop to be built 10 feet away from all lateral lines and 7.5 feet away from the edge of my property line. My new workshop is located right at the end of a 45-degree elbow of the 7th and last lateral line of my septic system. It has proven not to be an issue since I brought fill in a decade ago, nor with the addition of a slab with footers on the location just a year ago. The length of the workshop is predetermined by the distance I have from the edge of the pool deck to the edge of the property line, and the width is the distance I have from the bottom tip of the lateral line to the wall I built in 2018, making a flat spot for the playground and now workshop. If I were to push the workshop back 10 feet, I would need to build another 3 walls, a back wall and 2 side walls, that were taller, fill it in, and pour another slab. It would also not be 15 feet away from the back of the property line. As for the length, I cannot move it over 7.5 feet because my pool deck is already located there. If I made the workshop exercise room 7.5 feet shorter in length, it would not be usable workspace for a workshop or a woodworking shop, nor exercise equipment room. It takes a certain amount of space to cut a 4-foot by 8-piece sheet of plywood on a table saw, and the standard length of an Olympic barbell is over 7 feet. So when you put all that in there, it takes up some space. The slope behind, these are other things to consider. The slope behind my house is so steep that you can't see the structure from the road in front of my house. The only road you can see it from is at the end of the Cranfield Lane cul-de-sac on the other side of the house north of me. My next door neighbor has made no verbal complaints about the structure to me. You can't even see it from his back deck because there are trees that block his view of it. My other neighbor at the end of the Cranfield Lane cul-de-sac says it looks nice and has no problem with it either. 7.5 feet utility and drainage easement mostly has to do with keeping 2 structures from being built next to each other. Since my neighbor couldn't even build anything back there without being 15 feet from the rear setback, there should be no way of ever having 2 structures built too close to each other. As far as the drainage is concerned, because his property line goes at a real, like a V down there by this workshop. I don't believe allowing this structure to be finished would negatively impact the current or future value of my neighbor's property at all. Oh, sorry, I missed what I was reading there. As far as the drainage is concerned, I have a French drain positioned at the front base of the slab to allow for any excess surface water to exit behind my workshop, thus improving the drainage. I don't believe there would be any need for public utilities to go this far down my property line for any reason, ever. Good fences make for good neighbors. The cinder block wall fence and workshop gives me privacy from my neighbors and them privacy from me. There is no way to deliver a pre-built shop of any size into my backyard. It has to be custom built. Removing what has been done so long ago could risk creating a new septic problem that does not currently exist. Don't want to disturb the soil around the lateral lines after 10 years of working just fine. Our septic system has never had a problem in 18 and a half years that I have lived there, and I'm the only one that has lived there. What else can I say before I finish here? I mean, there were security reasons why I built the wall. The new place that, in one of the pictures, you might be able to see the house over there. It was, that house was going to be when I talked to the builder, they were gonna make it an Airbnb. And because we had a pool, I wanted to make a little more of a structure to keep anybody from wandering over and thinking they could sneak into the pool, and then that's all my liability. I don't have any problems with the Bella Vista Code of Ordinances. They give general guidelines to the property owners of Bella Vista that help ensure the city maintains a desired look and feel that current and future residents can enjoy. With that being said, I have also learned throughout my lifetime that there are always exceptions to the general guidelines because it is impossible to foresee all current and future situations when you make guidelines. This is a specific and unique situation where I don't believe the codes necessarily apply, and giving me a variance will not diminish the look and feel of Bella Vista in any way. That is why I'm asking the Planning Commission, which I think you guys want to be called the zoning,
This is the Board of Zoning
Board of
Adjustments.
Zoning Adjustments, but you guys are the Planning Commission too, right?
We serve that role as well.
Okay. To strongly consider giving me a variance release and allow me to finish constructing the workshop the way it has been currently designed and located. Respectfully submitted, Richard Redford. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions for me? I'm
Any
happy to
questions
answer.
for the applicant? Do you know specifically what staff is referring to with you have outstanding issues with the ACC?
That was brought to my attention Friday at, the email I received was like 4:18. By the time I read it, everybody was gone for the weekend. And I talked to the AC this morning, and I tried to ask, or they had told me that they had questions for me. And I had no problem trying to answer those questions. But when I called them, and what I mean them is Selena, is that? I only talked to Selena, and I do not believe that she was very honest with me, and I will say that on the record. I would like that to be on the record. I asked her, I was calling on behalf of Christopher Hoyt. Is that how you say your last name? Height? Because he said that they had questions for me. When I called her, she acted like she didn't know who I was, didn't know what I was talking about, didn't have any questions about something that she doesn't know anything about. And I told her I was sorry that I wasn't trying to implicate anything. I'm just going by what I was told. So I could tell, I've been in these situations before, it's a he said, she said. So I asked her, I said, what do I need to do? And she goes, well, I can't ask you any questions because you haven't submitted an application to them. So I asked her what application, kind of went through that process, asked her if there's any way, if she could review that today before our meeting, kind of expect, going a little quicker so that we could, I was ready to hear from you guys to have closure, whether I was building it today or tearing it back down, because I was ready for closure. I'm a high closure guy, but that's not your pressure, that's mine.
What year was your house built in?
2006, I believe. I mean, we moved in March of 2006. It was brand new, so I don't know. I think what time they would have,
Okay.
what their exact closing dates.
Is your pool and stuff built over your lateral lines also?
They're
definitely within the 10-foot setback.
Huh? What'd you say?
The pool and the deck and all that stuff is within the 10-foot setback of the
No.
lateral line.
Well, there would be one going across the very last line. Part of the front of my pool would be over that. And he didn't want me to put that in there, so that I didn't want to, I was trying to deal with one thing at a time. But I can
Sure.
say that I have had my septic, at 9 years, I had it cleaned out, and I'm gonna do it again. We haven't ever had any problems with our septic system. And so, I mean, I know, you know, the state of Arkansas and different people have different views on that, but I can tell you this too, that I've talked to Christopher, I go, I appreciate that everybody wants to protect my lateral lines, which, what I'm trying to say is I'm the owner and I'm the one that would have to pay for any damages, so I care about my lateral lines too. And I would say more than anybody here because it's my property and I would have to fix it, right, if there's a problem, right? And I don't want septic lines that don't work. So even if you don't believe what I'm saying, I would hate dealing with the septic system that is having some kind of weird backup issue or problem or whatever it is. But if you do believe me, we have not had any problems. So that's why, one of the main reasons why I see that you guys have a reason you want to be 10 foot back, and that may be a good general guideline, and I've done my best to keep my stuff off of my lateral lines. That's why my pool's not behind the house, which that would have been nicer,
In
right?
dealing with our septic systems, we don't have guidelines.
Oh.
We have law.
Oh, okay.
And we have law that we don't vary from very, very
Oh,
often.
okay. Even if it's been proven that it's okay?
That's irrelevant, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. I like honesty.
So it's something that you've got a tough road ahead of you, sir, to be honest with you. Extremely tough. road
Right,
ahead
Chris
of you.
was very direct with me in saying that, and I appreciate that. But I realized I was already at this point, I'm like,
Sure.
I might as well come and see what 7 of you have to say. And that's why we have in my opinion, that's why you have a committee, is to see,
Well, we're a board. We
We're a board.
have very specific guidelines that we have to consider when we consider any kind of variance.
okay.
Does anybody have any other questions for the applicant?
Applicant has less than 5 minutes left for their side
Yes.
for this.
Is this on your property line? This wall?
To my knowledge, yes, I did not get a surveyor.
Is there gonna be an overhang on that side?
I don't have to have one. I can make it flat, straight
So-
down to the thing.
If there's an overhang, it's gonna overhang on the adjoining property lines.
Right, I don't have to have one if that's okay. I mean, if that's okay, I mean, if that's how you want it, I won't put an overhang.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant this time?
Can
Yes,
we
ma'am.
ask a staff question?
Well, we can go back to staff questions in a minute.
Okay.
Right now, we're dealing with applicant questions.
Well, it depends on what the staff says if I have an applicant question.
I permit it, no.
Fair enough, go ahead and ask your question.
Didn't that pool complex also require a permit?
A pool would require one.
Okay, did you get a permit for your pool complex from the city?
No, ma'am.
Why?
I was just improving my lot, just minding my own business.
Is that pool complex also over the side or rear setback?
Oh, of the side of a setback? What's that?
I'd have
We
to
do
dig-
not.
We don't know exactly where it's
Yeah.
at because we don't have a survey.
No, I have
Okay.
7.5 feet on that one.
Well, since you built that pool, after we were incorporated, that's a problem too. So I'm concerned that that entire complex was built unpermitted. Now you're building something else that's unpermitted. Why should we give you grace?
How much time do I got?
You got about 2 minutes left.
Well, only because of the definition of grace can you give me grace. But I'm not saying that that's the point of grace, would be giving me grace. But when I talked to them, they weren't really worried about the rest of my yard. We were trying to take one thing at a time. And I probably, I mean, other than the answer I gave you, I probably can't give you a satisfactory answer other than you extending me grace. That's what grace is.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for the applicant?
And the cinder block wall that was just built,
Yeah.
That's right on the,
that's
That-
right on, and so that, I mean, to me, that's a fence.
Oh, good, right. That's
So that
what,
would have required at least a fencing permit.
okay.
Am I wrong?
No. All right, we need to go ahead and conduct the public hearing, so if you would go ahead and take a seat, we'll
Okay,
do our
thank
public
you.
hearing real quick, and then we'll bring you back up and kind of wrap up. At this time, we'll go ahead and open the floor to the public, and each person that would like to address the Board of Zoning Adjustments on this request will be allowed up to 5 minutes to speak. So at this time, if you would, come up and state your name and address for the record. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. If you would go ahead and come back up, sir. I do want to reiterate, and this is for you as well, we have 3 criteria that we're allowed to consider. Strict enforcement of the zoning ordinance would cause an undue hardship due to circumstances unique to your property under consideration. The unique circumstances of the subject property do not result from the applicant's own actions, and the applicant demonstrates that granting the variance will be keeping in with the spirit and intent of the zoning ordinance. So those are the only 3 things that we're allowed to consider. And, you know, I'm going to be real frank with you, I don't see a unique circumstance that existed that I would consider, you know, was created by nature. Your unique circumstance was created by you, which actually violates letter B.
Okay.
Because anything that was created by you, we're not allowed to consider. That includes putting in an illegal swimming pool, which you are going to have to come back to the city and deal with that as well, because you did put it in after we became a city.
Okay.
So you're a long way from done, to
Okay.
be honest with you. And there's a good chance you will be removing your pool in this process.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if staff really conveyed to you the situation that you're in, but you have multiple variances you need to get, not just with your shop building, but with your pool deck. Pretty much everything that you've done in your backyard was done without a permit and probably violates multiple ordinances. And that's gonna have to be addressed now that the city's aware of it.
Okay.
And I would encourage the staff attorney to weigh in maybe at this point, because we are getting pretty serious, I think.
Because we've got acknowledged unpermitted improvements in the record, and that's going to have to be, it's going to have to be varied by you, and if there are not grounds, and I don't know how you would, but that's ultimately up to you. You know, I got to be honest with you, sir, I think you're going to be taking a pool out. I think you're going to be taking a lot of stuff out.
Okay, you guys know that's an above-ground pool, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I assume we do. I don't know anything
Right,
personally
right.
about it. I don't want to insinuate that I do. But I'm at a loss as to why you did all this without making a call or getting a permit or seeing what you needed to do or anything. I mean, I'm not laying all this on you because this happens a lot, but it's unbelievable to live in a city and do all this stuff and not even think about it. So, like I said, that's not all you, but in this circumstance, it does affect you. And so I would tell you, I think you got some problems. I'll leave it at that.
So basically where we can go from here is, you know, we have this request that's before us tonight, and we'll move forward as you would like for us to move forward. You can ask us to take action on it tonight. You can request to table it and try to work through something with some staff and try to find a way to get some questions answered maybe more clearly. You may have to employ some engineers, some other stuff, and be able to come back with a clearer picture of what we're dealing with exactly, and try to take care of everything at one time. Like I said, you can ask us to table it, you can withdraw it and start all over. There's multiple options here. It's just kind of what would you like to move forward with? I preface all that with saying the way variances really work is there's a very, very high threshold that has to be achieved in order to get a variance granted. It's not something that's just granted easily. We denied one several months ago for a builder on a brand new house that basically required him to find a way to resolve it or tear the house down in its entirety. So we do take the requirements in approving a variance very seriously, and like I said, item B is a real difficult one to overcome because it looks like everything that's done was done by your doing and not by nature's doing.
Okay, right, you're correct, no, that's right.
So,
I'm not trying to pull one on you.
yeah,
I would just,
Real quick, the applicant, just to make sure, we have to follow a strict timeline for rules and procedures. So you have 10 minutes now to rebut to everything you've heard. So I'm starting that timer now, just to let you know.
okay, no, this is easy. I mean, I think that based on what I'm hearing from you, I will take down the workshop, and then, I guess he's gonna have to tell me how we go from there. So, I guess, does that mean I withdraw this?
you can ask us to withdraw it, you can withdraw your request, you can ask us to table your request to a further meeting in the future. I think probably your best bet is to withdraw it.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna need to get a surveyor involved and trying to find out exactly what you're dealing with. I think you've got some work ahead of you, to be honest with you.
Chair,
Can he tell me what I need to do, or?
I think he probably can give you some advice, but just based on what we're telling you as far as the threshold, like I said, you've got multiple issues you've got to deal with.
Okay.
So, Mr. Kelly?
We were just having a chat about. You can go ahead and proceed if you so desire, and
Sure.
you don't have to table it. I think you understand that, so.
Right, I understand that. So it's like, but, you know, if the applicant chooses to withdraw that, then we're happy to accept that.
Okay.
It's up to you. What would you like to do,
Yeah,
sir?
I'm fine with withdrawing, and,
So you're requesting to withdraw your variance request?
and yeah, and then I'll take, this is what they told me, the engineers said, that I would take the wood down, but I'd leave the slab and the wall. I've been going by what he's telling me to do. And he told me you guys wouldn't worry about the rest of it, that we would just focus on the workshop. So I feel like, yeah, I've been counseled.
I think staff gave you advice on the structure itself, but I'm telling you, looking at a bigger picture, you've got more issues than just the shop that's half-built right now. You've got a fence or a wall that was built without any kind of a permit. You've got a pool that was installed without a permit. And all of this was after we became a city, and it looks like all of it violates multiple ordinances. So all of that needs to be addressed.
Okay, I just don't know how you want me to go
It's not
forward.
just a wall either, it's a foundation.
Yeah, it's a structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's, you know, I think because you came this far, it's now all out in the open. Staff knows what the next steps are, and they can get with you and with Mr. Kelly and kind of give you some advice on where to move stuff.
Okay.
So with that, we do have a request from the applicant to withdraw variance 2024-5966. Do I have anybody opposed to accepting that withdrawal request? All right, well, it's off the agenda then.
What'd you say?
All right, you're off the agenda, thank you. All right, next up, we have zoning variance 2024-55731, a variance request to install a permanent freestanding off-site sign in an R1 zone. Planner LaRue.
Just a reminder too, so the staff gets 10 minutes to speak, the applicant gets 15 minutes to speak, and then we hold the public hearing where everyone gets 5 minutes to speak, and then applicant gets an optional rebuttal for 10 minutes.
Correct.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Yes, so this, the applicant is requesting to erect a new wayfinding sign located at the northeast corner of Lambeth and Blowing Springs Roads intersection. A new sign would assist motorists in locating Blowing Springs Park and specify locations of attractions like the Gear Garden, but also public attractions such as the Back 40 Trail System. Immediately adjoining the parcel includes commercial use types and also civic use types. Per the most recently adopted comprehensive plan, and the future land use map shows the immediate area surrounding the sign as park and open space, but also as a Type 3 community destination center. The plan also specifies incorporating wayfinding signage geared towards various patrons and to help reinforce the identity of Bella Vista through components of the public realm. A new wayfinding sign at this location would be consistent with this plan, as well as align with the POA's obligations for outdoor recreation. All legal notifications have been met. And with that background, staff is recommending approval of the sign at this location so long as they adhere to the site triangle and provide required landscaping for permanent monument and freestanding signs.
Any questions for staff? All right. Is the applicant present? If you go ahead and come up and give us your name and who you represent for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Judson of the Bella Vista Property Owners Association. We have about 55 of these old gray signs that are decades old, and some of them are falling down on their own. So we're trying to go through and replace them. I've had multiple conversations with Taylor, and she's been very cooperative in trying to give me some guidance on how we can make our city look better and get rid of these old gray signs. So this sign in particular is located on land that was recently purchased by Blue Crane. In our approval, we got approval from them to make sure that, and so we're willing to abide by all city regulations in order to accommodate this sign and direct people to the trails and the campground and the gear garden and everything else. Any questions?
Any questions for the applicant? All right, if you go ahead and take a seat. At this time, we'll conduct the public hearing. If there's anybody in the public that would like to address the board concerning this variance request, if you come up and give us your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and take it back up to the Planning Commission. Anything you would like to add, sir? All right. Board members? Nope. With that, can I get a motion to approve zoning variance 2024-55731?
So moved.
Got a motion from Portillo?
Second.
Second from Farner. Call the roll, please.
Clesson,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes?
Farner,
Yes.
Portillo,
Yes.
Jewel, yes. Sudbury,
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes. All right, that request is approved. Next up under item C is our bylaws update. Planner or Director Robertson. I'll get it right eventually, I promise.
That's okay. Just a small minor clerical correction, where it said planning manager throughout this document, and now says planning director. No rules or orders or procedures or anything changed, just a name change out. Happy to take any questions for you guys.
Any questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve the bylaws as presented?
So moved.
Got a motion from Klesson, second.
Second, JB.
Second from Portillo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. With that, we'll go ahead and close our Board of Zoning Adjustments. We will have our next Board of Zoning Adjustments on, what day is that going to be on? Help me out real quick. November the 12th.
Yeah.
All righty. So with that, the Board of Zoning Adjustment stands adjourned. All right, let's go ahead and call to order the City of Bella Vista Planning Commission meeting. Call the roll, please.
Ellis,
Here.
Farner,
Here.
Clesson,
Here.
Sudbury,
Here.
Portillo,
Here.
Jewel, here. Lloyd.
Here?
All right, we have a quorum. Next on our agenda is our meeting minutes from September the 9th.
I make a motion to be approved as submitted.
Got a motion from Farner,
Second.
second from Sudbury. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our meeting minutes are approved. Next up, we have our public input session. We do have a couple of public hearings tonight dealing with rezones. We will have public hearings on those. But if there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the commission for any other item on the agenda or any unpublished item, now would be your chance, and you will have 5 minutes to address the commission. All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public input session. We have nothing under unfinished business, and we move right into new business. First up, we have a public hearing with a rezone 2024-55647, a request to rezone 6.3 acres from R1 to C1. Planner Workman.
All right, this subject site's going to be located east of the intersection of West Lancashire Boulevard and Nature Trail Lane. It currently serves as the parking lot for the Teenard Creek Nature Trail visitors. The applicant is requesting to rezone only a portion of the 27.91 acre parent parcel to bring the legal non-conforming off-street parking into compliance and to provide the applicant the ability to expand the parking area if needed in the future. Adjacent land use includes neighborhood commercial, single-family residential, and two-family residential to the north, neighborhood commercial to the east, conservation to the south, and single-family residential to the west. The 2040 comprehensive plan recommends open space and golf course use at this location. Staff finds the schedule of permitted uses for the C1 district to have the ability to support the recommendation from the comp plan. The bulk and area regulations of the C1 district have been met. The proposed area contains 6.3 acres with widths and depths measuring more than 100 feet. Public comments received by staff are contained within the published agenda packets on page 12 and 13. All legal notifications have been met by the staff and by the applicant. Staff is recommending approval of this request.
All right, any questions for staff? If the applicant would go ahead and come up to the podium and give us his name and who he represents, and expand on the staff's report if you'd like.
My name is Tom Judson of the Bella Vista Property Owners Association. This location, the Tanner Creek Nature Trail is extremely popular. And when we didn't have the grass parking available earlier in the season, you saw people parking everywhere, parking in front of driveways, on yards and so forth, and it was causing issues. And so we created the grass parking area. At some point in the future, we want to enlarge the size of that parking lot. So we're just asking to rezone just that portion alone and not the entire parcel. A lot of the trails, we wouldn't want to make that commercial. We want to keep them as trails forever. We're just looking at the parking lot. It's insufficient for our community's needs.
Any questions for the applicant? All right, if you go ahead.
Well, this would just relieve some of the problems of parking.
Absolutely, yes.
Any other questions for the applicant? Go ahead and sit down. All right, we'll go ahead and conduct the public hearing on this rezone request. If there's anybody in the public that would like to address the commission concerning this request, if you would come up and state your name and address, and you'll be given 5 minutes to address the planning commission.
Good afternoon. My name is Lanny Johnson. I live at 9 West Mare Lane, which is directly across Lancaster Boulevard in Windsor Courts. I am a little concerned about this zoning situation. I'm looking at a map that shows the 6.3 acres, and actually it contains more than the parking lot spaces. My home is not actually, well, I have this little map that I think you were looking at before. And what I'm concerned about is that it is significantly more property than just the 2 parking lots. I did talk with Tom Judson when this information came out, and he assured me that this is something that we need to look at in terms of parking and so on, and I agree. I mean, it's a very congested area, and I can see why we want to extend the parking lot options. However, it goes beyond the parking lots, and it goes into some of the wooded area. And I guess I'm concerned about having Six Flags of Bella Vista right across the street from me at some point. I'd like to know if there is some type of a long-term plan in terms of what we're doing for commercial properties here. If there is one, I'm not really aware of it. I know that we're in the process of evolving with Blue Crane and so on. But I'm looking at other commercial properties in the city of Bella Vista. I'm not aware of any areas where property is deemed commercial where there are so many residential homes close by. I look at the city center, I look at Highlands, I look at the village area. There are some residential areas across from the village, but I'm not aware of a lot of residential homes that are just exactly bordering what we have for commercial right now. So I'm a little concerned. I'm certainly interested in getting more information. I would certainly be very, very much amenable to the commercial part of if it were just the parking lot areas. But this seems to go and extend into the wooded areas beyond the parking lot. And there are, as Mr. Judson said, there are a lot of trails back there. Those are some of the paved trails that we have for disabled people to use. They get a lot of action and use, and I'm concerned. And that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the commission concerning this request? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this. If you would go ahead and come back up to the podium, sir. We'll give you a chance to add anything else to your presentation, considering the public comments that were made.
Absolutely. First of all, I would like to say that after the meeting, I'll hang out in the lobby. If any property owner wants to have a conversation about this, I'll make myself available. With regards to long-term planning, the long-term planning is a parking lot. That's it. We're not looking to do anything else. When I was doing the rezoning applications last year, we talked about how it is virtually impossible for the POA to sell land. So we can't sell land. We're not in the business of creating like a Dollar General or anything crazy like that. It's a park. We want to keep it a park. We want to make sure that we facilitate everybody's ability to get and park at the park without parking on the roads and so forth. So we have zero long-term plans, and always keep in mind, we can't sell property, and there's no way any commercial entity would put in a huge amount of money to put in a structure without owning the land. And so I want to dispel any concerns along those lines.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? All right, seeing none, this is something that the commission recommends to the city council. We don't actually approve ourselves. So with that, can I get a motion to recommend this rezone request to city council?
So moved.
We got a motion from Sedberry, and a second from Farner. If you call the roll, please.
Sedberry,
Yes.
Plesson,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes?
Farner,
Yes.
Portillo,
Yes.
Dool,
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes. All right, that will be taken up at the city council meeting on October 28th. That sound right?
The public, yeah, the
No.
regular meeting. But it will be at the work session next Friday as well.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the public
regular
part, will be on October 28th. All right, next up, we have a rezone request 2024-55729, a request to rezone 2.65 acres from R1 single family to C1 neighborhood commercial at 2 Kingsdale Lane. Planner Hyatt.
Thank you. This property is located west of 71 and is located along Kingsdale Lane. It's part of the Kingsdale Golf Course complex. The applicant is requesting to rezone from R1 to C1. Per the most recently adopted zoning map, the parcel is a mix of C1 and R1. Previously, this portion of it got left out, so still is R1. But like I said, it is the parking lot providing a land use that's not residential in nature and has been established prior to the establishment of Bella Vista's zoning ordinance. The parcel is currently surrounded by the following zoning districts: R1 single-family residential to the north and south. However, it should be noted that the property to the north surrounds an R3 multifamily residential district, and the property to the south is part of the Kingsdale Golf Course. C1 neighborhood commercials located to the east and west. Surrounding land uses include commercial recreation, recreation center, retail, restaurant, and off-street parking. By right, off-street parking is only allowed in commercial and industrial districts, and rezoning this parcel to C1 will bring the rest of the portion of parcel 16-03465 into compliance with off-street parking regulations and use type, while also consolidating the area to match the zoning for the rest of the parking lot. The applicant sent the required certified mail on 9/23, and staff posted a public hearing notice in the Democrat Gazette on 9/29. Staff also posted a public hearing sign on 10/4. Based on the analysis above, staff recommends approval.
Any questions for staff? If not, if you would go ahead and come back up to the podium, sir. And state your name and who you represent for the record.
My name is Tom Judson of the Bella Vista Property Owners Association. Last year, I inconvenienced this commission over and over again with 25 rezoning applications. And earlier this year, a couple months ago, I was going through county GIS and realized that while we had rezoned the Kingsdale Clubhouse parcel and the upper parking lot, the kind of flat area, I had missed the area in between. And since I knew that I had other rezoning applications heading your way, I figured I'd lump it in. So apologize, would have liked to get this over with last year, but I missed this one.
All right. Any questions for the applicant? All right, if you go ahead and take a seat, please. We'll go ahead and conduct the public hearing concerning this rezone request. Is there anybody in the public that would like to address the commission concerning this rezone request? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. I'm not going to make you come back up. Is there any other questions or comments from the commission? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to recommend this to City Council for approval?
So moved.
Got a motion from Lloyd and a second from Farner. You call the roll, please.
Klesson,
Yes.
Lloyd,
Yes?
Farner,
Yes.
Portillo,
Yes.
Dool. Yes. Sudbury,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes. All right, that will be taken up at the October 28th City Council meeting. Next up, we have rezone request 2024-55458, a request to rezone 2.36 acres from R1, or rezone a 2.36 acre portion from R1 to C1 commercial at the intersection of Trafalgar and Leyland Drive. Planner LaRue.
Yes, so the applicant is seeking a rezone request to rezone the western portion of their property from R1 Single Family to C1 Neighborhood Commercial. The property is located at the south, just southeast of the Leyland Drive and Trafalgar Road intersections. The lot as divided does meet the minimum requirements for a C1 lot and is also surrounded by other commercial use types such as an existing water tower, a church, but also residential. The purpose of the C1 district is to provide small to medium scale office, retail, and other commercial developments. Staff will note that it is unclear whether the tract A or tract B is platted as provided, and there will need to, the plat will need to go through an incidental subdivision with the Planning Commission to bring it into compliance prior to any development. All legal notifications have been met by staff and the applicant. And in short, staff is recommending approval of this rezone request as the proposed rezone is aligned with the overall need for more commercial allowance and is aligned with other non-residential uses such as the existing water tower and the church located just to the south.
All right, any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, if you would go ahead and come up, sir, and state your name and who you represent for the record, please.
My name is Tom Judson of the Bella Vista Property Owners Association. There is a water tower located just south of this site that in about 5 years is going to be insufficient in size because of the growth on the east side. We're going to have to add an additional water tower, and that's a high point. Last year we came to the commission and requested this rezoning, and one of the issues that came up, or one of the concerns, was that we were asking for the entire parcel to be rezoned, and a comment was made that we wanted to have some sort of buffer between the water tower and the potential future, well, there are homes that are close by. So what we did was we did a meets and bounds. We basically took the parcel and divided it in half. The left side is the west side, and that lower left side is where we would locate it. That's the flattest ground anyways. So we're requesting that that portion be C1, and then we would leave the right-hand side, which is also a pretty thick, pretty deep valley, leave that as its existing R1, which would then create that buffer with the lots that are immediately, the residential lots that are immediately to the east or to the right side. So we're just trying to accommodate that, and we're trying to get this on the books far enough in advance so people are aware that we need to put in a water tower to accommodate the growth that's heading our way. Any questions?
Any questions for the applicant?
Oh, and once again, we're not looking to put in any commercial entity. We're not looking to sell the land, it's, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I am gonna ask a question on this one.
Absolutely.
So if I'm looking at our schedule of uses, utilities are allowed in an R1 or a C1 with the conditional use permit.
Correct.
So regardless of what the zoning is on this, we could put a water tower there, and you're gonna have to come back and do a conditional use permit.
We fully understand that we will be visiting you again 5 years from now to get the necessary permits, but we do think a water tower probably makes more sense in a C1 than an R1. And just want to make sure that our residents in that area are aware of what our plans are as far in advance as possible.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners? All right, if you go ahead and take a seat, we'll conduct the public hearing. Is there anybody in the public that would like to address the commission concerning this request? You go ahead and come up and give us your name and address. You have 5 minutes. Yes, sir.
Jacob Pittman. My house is the first one on the far left side, closest to the red dot. So I heard at the beginning you said something about a mixed-use commercial building, retail?
C1 is called a neighborhood commercial. We didn't say mixed use.
Okay.
C1 is defined as neighborhood commercial.
So, and you stated earlier that you can put a water tower on an R1 zoned lot, right?
Conditionally.
So what's the point of rezoning if we can already put a water tower there conditionally? Main concern, 10 years down the road, they want to decide, hey, let's add some retail buildings. Now I have a retail building in my backyard. Like, who wants that? We all live in Bella Vista. We moved here to be in the woods. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the commission concerning this request? You would go ahead and give us your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Kyle DuPont. I live at 1 Leyland Drive, which is, if you follow the service road that goes from the water tower existing, is directly across the driveway from that. Right now, our biggest concern of putting a water tower up there as it is the access road that leads directly to that water tower. We already have a lot of water that runs off from there every time we have storms. Anytime that we have any sort of rain, we have a lot of water that comes down that and floods our land. We've had issues with this, and we've tried to address it with the city to no avail. We feel that this would probably make this even worse by doing so, by clearing out more vegetation, causing more issues. The other concern is that that road is extremely small. The service trucks, which are normal trucks as is, are trying to get up that road, have issues getting up that road, and constantly spin and slide and throw gravel all over the place trying to get up that road as is. In order to build a bigger tower, more structures, they would have to enlarge that road or do more to that road, which is a direct inconvenience to us directly across from there, as well as they've already marked out about a 20-foot swath of trees that they're just wanting to cut all the way out for that access. So that's a concern, because we're getting rid of more vegetation, more groundwater that's going to be coming directly down to us. So those are our concerns.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm Roger Miller. I live at 22 Sandwick Circle here in Bella Vista. My concern is not where I live, obviously. I'm also the pastor at Bella Vista Wesleyan Church on Trafalgar, which is adjacent to the property that we're considering here. I also have another individual with me today, John Kalagias. He's one of our church trustees. He's also vice chairman of our local board of administration. We looked at the zoning change. And now I find out that the POA can, with conditional permits, do what they want to do without changing the zoning. And I guess I'm wondering, why don't we go that route? In looking at the C1 zoning, there's a lot of concerns, and one of our neighbors to the church has mentioned that as well. We reviewed the entire document of requirements for a C1 commercial site, neighborhood commercial district. I was unaware before just a few minutes ago that the POA just wants to put up a water tower, had no contact from the city that this was the real purpose for it. So we looked at the C1 designation for what it says. In reviewing that entire document, there is a very wide spectrum of different types of businesses that can be built in this C1 zoning. We have the following concerns over the potential that once something is rezoned, then they can develop that according to the C1 zoning standards. And if that's the case, with a very uncertain future as to that, we're concerned about the potential increase in criminal activities in our immediate area. Our church building has previously been vandalized. A business built next door would increase customer traffic in that immediate area and has the potential of more crime activities, particularly if such a potential business in the future is open during non-daylight hours. Secondly, we have concern for unsafe driving conditions due to the potential of higher traffic volume on our particular section of Trafalgar Road. We are already aware of the danger of cars leaving our parking lot in order to enter onto Trafalgar Road when Trafalgar Road makes a curve right there between our property and Leyland Drive. Just looking at the C1 issue as well, there's just too much wide open possibilities of what the future is. It would seem to me it'd be a far better direction to go to satisfy our concerns if it remains an R1 residential area, and then seek the appropriate permits to provide conditional use of that, if it's only going to be a water tower. And I guess it leaves us with still a very uncertain feeling as to what is going to be the future and what might they try to use that for.
1 minute left.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the commission concerning this variance request? All right, seeing no one, go ahead and close the public hearing. We'll allow the applicant to come on up and add to their comments after hearing the public comments.
Once again, I'll be in the lobby after my applications are finished with, if anybody wants to speak with me. I think this is really good dialogue that we're having way in advance of our interests. I want to assure every property owner, everybody that was concerned, we have zero intent of developing that area. The POA, it's near impossible for the POA to sell property. It would require a vote in the entire membership, which would never get approved. No property, no business would build on someone else's land without owning it unless they had a lease, and we can only do leases up to, actually it's a licensing agreement, can only go for 25 years. So there's so many obstacles to a business. We have zero interest in going out that way, but logically, if you look at the facts, it's not a reasonable assumption to think that we would put any business in there. The only thing we're looking at doing is putting in a water tower 5 years from now, which would be approximately the same size as the dot that is there. So with regards to removing a lot of trees, I don't see that being an over concern. Thank you for your attention. Any additional questions for me?
Any additional questions or comments from the commission?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Staff just wanted to provide a little extra information just for the recommendation that we made for recommending approval of this. So typically, yes, the utilities, whenever we had the concept meeting for this, it is allowed with a conditional use permit, just like it is in C1. However, C1 has more protections and development, such as bigger setbacks from the adjacent R1 properties, whereas right now it has small setbacks that are currently on the zoning standard as R1. C1s, they immediately intensify, especially when they're adjacent to an R1 area like this one would be, should it be approved. There's also screening requirements that could be triggered, as well as other requirements that we could build on top with the CUP, whereas right now there's less amount of protection requirements because it's zoned as R1 single family. So also, staff also looks at future development, the need for variances and waivers, and as it's R1, it couldn't have a sign or a permanent sign, which, as we know tonight and previous meetings, that is a very common requirement for the POA to return to us, because a lot of the property was zoned as P1 and R1, and we don't allow permanent signs, even their existing utility infrastructure as well as things of that nature. So all of those items came into obviously the supporting reason for staff's recommendation of approval, as well as obviously the comprehensive plan and surrounding land uses.
Any other questions or comments? All right, with that, remember this is a recommendation only. So with that, can we get a motion to recommend approval to the City Council for rezone 2024-55458?
So moved.
Got a motion from Klesson,
Second.
second from Portillo. Call the roll, please.
Lloyd,
Yes.
Plesson,
Yes.
Varner,
No.
Portillo,
Yes.
Dool. No. Sudbury,
No.
Ellis,
Yes. That will move to City Council with a 4-3 recommendation. All right, next up, we have waiver 2024-55799, a waiver request on pedestrian accommodations, access drive width, internal 90-degree intersection, internal requirements for a proposed redevelopment located at 101 Chelsea Road. Planner Workman.
All right, this proposed redevelopment is known as Campfire Ranch. The applicability section 107-313A requires that existing parking facilities and access management come into compliance if an existing structure is altered in any way that increases the number of guest rooms within. The Campfire Ranch project is doing just that. And the applicant is proposing to make minor changes to the parking area outside and is requesting waivers from the following sections: 107-250M, pedestrian accommodations, which are required for any large-scale development; Section 107-315A2, minimum access drive width; Section 107-315B1, internal drive aisles, 90-degree intersection for parking and access drives; Section 107-315B2, 24-foot minimum width for a two-way internal drive aisles; and Section 107-317B2, the 250-foot distancing requirement for access drives located on minor arterials. No public comments have been received and no outstanding staff comments remain. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions for staff? All right, is the applicant present? If you would go ahead and state your name and who you represent for the record, and this is your opportunity to expound upon the staff report if you would like.
Sure, thank you all. My name is Matt Dungan. I'm here on behalf of Campfire Ranch, as well as the property owner, with the request you have before you for 101 Chelsea, which is formerly the Inn at Bella Vista. Basically, we believe that granting these waivers would successfully allow the hospitality use that's been on the property for the last few decades, and to do so in a way that's the most compatible with the surrounding neighborhood and the neighbors. Specifically, these waivers would allow us to maintain the large mature trees that are along the entry drive and within the parking areas. They would also maintain the landscape screening between the neighbors, the street, and this property, and ultimately would allow us to kind of preserve the alignment between the site elements, the structure, and the landscape that was envisioned by Fay Jones when this was designed in the 80s. So thank you for your consideration.
One quick question I have for you. Basically, we're just creating additional living space within the existing structure, right? We're not adding any additional square footage.
Correct. We're not adding any square footage, and we're not proposing to modify the exterior. Basically, it's currently a 7-bedroom structure. We're splitting one large bedroom into 2 and enclosing a den with about a 6-foot wall to create another shared bedroom. So going from 7-bedroom configuration now to a 9-bedroom.
Okay, and then you're just improving the parking situation out there on the existing campus is what it looks like?
Correct, yes. Adding some parking and complying with all the regulations that aren't in the waiver request. But yeah, wanted to waive those specific ones as those require a lot more configuration and potentially removal of trees, et cetera.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, if not, can I get a motion to approve waiver 2024-55799?
We got to do them all individually or all at once?
They're just under one waiver. Would you prefer to do them individually, or do you want to?
I just want to be sure.
I think we're going to do all of them in one vote. Can we get a motion to approve waiver 2024-55799? It would be all of them.
So, and
I got a motion from Farner and a second from Portillo. If you call the roll, please.
Sudbury,
Yes.
Wesson,
yes.
Lloyd,
Yes.
Farner,
Yes.
Portillo,
Yes.
Jewel. Yes. Ellis,
Yes. All right, your waiver request is approved. Staff will get with you on your next steps. All right, next up, we have waiver 2024-55902, a waiver request on tree and landscape preservation requirements for a residential lot located at 36 West Moreland Drive. Planner Hyatt.
All right, thank you. This property is located in the northeast area of Bella Vista and is Lot 25, Block 2 of the Westmoreland subdivision. Development Code, Section 107-380G requires single-family residential lots serviced by sanitary sewer to preserve a minimum of 25% of the existing natural vegetation and tree canopy. The applicant's requesting to waive the minimum 25% preservation requirement. Ordinance 2023-46 went into effect in November of 2023 in an effort to reduce tree canopy and natural vegetation loss where possible by requiring the percentage of the lot to be preserved. During development, the builder cleared over and into, clearing almost all the lot that he had marked, as you can see in the photos, that he had marked as being preserved. With clearing all the lot, there is a variance for up to 5%, but this fell outside of that variance possibility. And so 5 weeks after the issuance of their GEC, failed GEC inspection notice was given for the clearing, and on August 13th, planning was made aware that the applicant cleared just short of the entire lot. Stop work order.
Uh-oh. Guess you're going to have to come to the podium.
So a stop, does that work?
Yeah, it's working. Just
Okay.
kind of, there you go.
So a stop work order was placed on the property, and after planning confirmed via inspection of the lot. So due to the amount cleared, this request, again, fell outside of our administrative review criteria. And so currently the lot is sitting cleared and unstabilized. As requested by you all in the working session, we are proposing the following conditions of approval, and that is the applicant must plant a minimum of 3 native shade trees and 6 native ornamentals, and also establish a ground cover via either hydroseed or sod to make sure that we restabilize the area. Have you taken questions?
Any questions for staff?
Is that before they continue work or at C of O? Like when does that take place?
That is
Could you speak into your microphone, please?
It would be done at the same time that we require the 2 shade trees to be planted in the front yard, so prior requesting a C of O.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? If not, is the applicant present? Could you come up and give us your name and who you represent?
Hi, I'm Ryan Gonzalez. I'm the property owner. I asked my contractor to keep as many of the trees as possible. He subcontracted out to a tree cutter who went berserk, and I went out and obviously this is where we're at now. I'm just
Yes.
needing to know what I need to move forward and what timeline I need to replant so I can
They're saying,
this going.
staff is basically recommending that you plant three native shade trees, which will probably be some kind of an oak, and 6 ornamental trees, and reestablish the grass cover by the time you ask for your C of O. So basically, when you ask for permission to move into your house, you need to have this work done.
All right.
You think your builder will be okay with that?
I hope so.
Are you okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds to me like he
paying
didn't
for it, so
exactly,
it should be okay.
Yes.
sounds to me like he didn't exactly approve his builder to do what he did.
Yeah.
So, fair enough. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, seeing none, if you, can I get a motion to approve waiver 2024-55902 with staff recommendations?
So moved.
I got a motion from Sedberry. Second from Dool. You call the roll, please.
Newell. Yes. Sudbury.
Yes.
Plesson.
Yes.
Lloyd.
Yes.
Farner.
Yes.
Portillo.
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes. All right, your waiver request is approved with staff recommendations, and staff will get with you on next steps. Staff appreciates you looking at that and coming back with a very clear recommendation that made that much simpler.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, with that, our final item tonight is our bylaws to be updated by Director Robertson.
Just a clerical update, my title is being updated from planning manager to planning director. You guys ended up not wanting to remove the pulling it back requirement, so that is in there, but so no other changes were made.
All righty, can I get a motion to accept the changes to our bylaws?
So moved.
Got a motion from Portillo and a second from Lloyd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's addressed. All right, committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
None at this time, however, the Active Transportation Advisory Board may have one for you next month.
Great, can't wait to hear about that. Hopefully it's about new trails. Yes, all right. Anything under open discussion?
Staff has nothing for you at this time.
All right, with that, the city council work session will be on Monday, October 21st at 5:30 PM with the regular meeting on October 28th at 6 PM. We will be back here on Halloween afternoon for our, in costume.
Careful.
If you so wish. No birthday suits. For our work session at 4:30 PM, and then we will have our Board of Zoning Adjustments and regular Planning Commission on November the 12th. And with that, we stay adjourned.
Have a safe trip.